What's going on, it's Suck and I'm back with a brand new video on SuperDuprTech, and in today's video I'll be showing you what it's like to play over 20 games on the M3 Pro 14-inch MacBook Pro. Before I continue with today's video, I do want to remind yourselves to hit that subscribe button, clicking the bell to be notified when a new video goes live. But without any further ado, let's hit the titles. So first things first, I do want to quickly get into talking about the spec for the model that I am testing in today's video. So this model set me back £2,499 here in the UK, which comes with the M3 Pro chip, which has a 12-core CPU along with an 18-core GPU, 18GB of unified memory along with 1TB of SSD-based storage. So what games did I play on this MacBook, I hear you say? So these games were Battlefield 1, Battlefield 5, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Minecraft, League of Legends, Grand Theft Auto 5, CSGO, Firewatch, Fortnite, Hitman 2, CSGO 2, Cyberpunk, Thief Simulator 2, Watch Dogs Legion, Halo, Overwatch 2, Resident Evil Village, Resident Evil 4, Watch Dogs 2, Hogwarts Legacy, Spider-Man Remastered, Spider-Man Miles Morales, Far Cry 6, Saints Row, Borderlands 2, Call of Duty Black Ops 3, and finally The Witcher 3. So I started by playing these games at this MacBook Pro's native resolution of 3024 by 1964, keeping the graphics settings high. Wait a minute, are the results blurry to you? That means you've not subscribed. So go ahead, subscribe, click the bell and wait to the end of today's video to see what other MacBooks I'm currently testing. So when playing games at this resolution, we can see the best performing games were League of Legends, Minecraft and Fortnite, which averaged 115, 113 and 93 frames per second respectively. Also, Hitman 2 and both Spider-Man games would not run at this resolution, and though games like Far Cry 6 were somewhat playable, I did have some lighting glitches which, as you can see, made some scenes look horrible and borderline unplayable. The games that were designed to be run on macOS, like Minecraft, like CSGO and like Shadow of the Tomb Raider, performed quite well in my opinion. Of course, Shadow of the Tomb Raider only averaged 35 frames per second, but I felt that it was quite playable even at this resolution. If you're the type of person that likes to play Fortnite, then you'll find playing Fortnite on this Mac is quite delightful. Although Firewatch is a game which is natively available for macOS, it hasn't been updated since June of 2018, so well before these Apple Silicon Macs were even available. And so as you can see, when playing Firewatch at this resolution, it averaged close to 30 frames per second. And then we have those games which were played through crossover with the use of Apple's game porting toolkit. And as you can see, with games like The Witcher 2, we were averaging around 22 frames per second, which isn't great. And we were also able to play games like CSGO 2, which averaged around 47 frames per second, which I think was quite good considering the original CSGO averaged 67 frames per second when playing at this resolution. And then we have the games which were played through parallels, like these Battlefield titles, Battlefield 1, Battlefield 2, and I also played GTA 5 through parallels. And whilst these Battlefield titles averaged around that 20 frames per second average, I must admit at times it felt like they were being played at least around 40 frames per second, as they felt much smoother than previously. But at the end of the day, when playing these games at this resolution, none of them managed to average 120 frames per second. And so I lowered the resolution down to 2560 by 1600 to see if any of these games would be able to average higher than 120 frames per second, saturating the ProMotion display in this MacBook Pro. And when playing at this resolution, we see the same top 3 performing games, League of Legends, Minecraft and Fortnite, and it's great to see that Minecraft and League of Legends are averaging over 130 frames per second, thus saturating the ProMotion display in this MacBook Pro. And we've also got games like Call of Duty Black Ops 3 along with Resident Evil Village, which were playing very well at this resolution. And as you may have noticed, Hitman 2 and both Spider-Man titles were still not playing at this resolution. I had hoped to see Borderlands 2 averaging higher than 52 frames per second, but I've got a feeling that was because it was being played through crossover where it was having some issues. GTA 5 performed very well at this resolution, averaging over 50 frames per second, and then we've got games like Hogwarts Legacy which averaged over 40 frames per second, and as you can see, Hogwarts Legacy performed quite well on this machine. I needed to see if I can get Hitman 2 and those Spider-Man games to run, so I once again lowered the resolution. So this time I lowered to 1920 by 1200. Now when playing at this resolution, as you can see, all games ran, and some games performed very well. So first things first, when playing at this lowered resolution, we see that Hitman 2 now averaged above 33 frames per second, which was a little weird as we saw 37 frames per second with the larger 16-inch MacBook Pro, which has an identical spec. And I put this down to the 16-inch MacBook Pro being vastly superior at its heat management, with taking the heat away from the M3 Pro and dispersing it out into the environment. And then we've got the Spider-Man games which managed to run on this MacBook Pro, averaging 35 frames per second. And I'm going to be straight with you, it honestly felt like it was being played at least above 60 frames per second. At the top, we've still got League of Legends and Minecraft trading blows, with them now averaging close to 150 frames per second. And then we've got Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5 averaging 46 and 65 frames per second respectively. And as you can see, even when it comes to playing these games online, that I had no issues other than the fan noise, the heat that was being produced, along with the hit to the battery life. And so if you've watched any of my previous videos gaming on any of these MacBooks, then you'll already know that I further lowered the resolution, this time to 1280 by 800. And as you can see at this resolution, all games performed very well. And even as you can see on screen, Spider-Man Miles Morales was playing very well. Honestly, it shocked me how well this game was playing on this hardware. And I'm more so intrigued to see when the up and coming MacBook Air models are released, how they perform with the M3 chip compared to these models. And when playing at this resolution, Overwatch 2 also averaged above 50 frames per second, which was interesting as it equates to around a 10% decrease when compared to the 16-inch model, which averaged 55 frames per second. And then we've got games like Cyberpunk 2077, which averaged 40 frames per second, although once again, they certainly felt like they were averaging much higher frame rates. I've always said it, never buy a Mac if your sole intention is to play games, but it's good to know that if you are out and about and the only machine that you have is your MacBook, which you might use for productivity reasons, is capable of playing these games. Of course, you've got to go through some loopholes and hurdles, you've got to go through crossover or parallels or whatever the case may be, but at the end of the day, it's certainly looking like we're able to play games on these MacBooks, which is something I wouldn't have necessarily been able to say just a few months ago. As I've promised, I have currently got Apple's most expensive MacBook in, so if you do want to see how this MacBook Pro performs with the M3 Max, 128GB of RAM, along with 8TB of SSD storage, then be sure to subscribe, click that bell, and join me for the ride. If you've got any questions or if there is anything that you'd like to see tested on any of these machines, then be sure to leave a comment down below, or alternatively you can hit me up on my social media, links to which are found in this video's description. Once again, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care and have a good one.